Well, good evening, everybody out there in internet land. Hi, hello, and how you doing? My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. Welcome back to our first of the week session of this wonderful little show called Chattin on the Porch. We are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, and we are even on that quaint little alternative social media platform known as YouTube. Tell your friends, tell your frenemies, tell your enemies. Come on in here and talk. We got somebody who wants to jabber about the news, and boy, can I jabber. I can jabber with anybody. And I think you'd like to as well. Because let's be honest about it. ABC, NBC, CBS, are they going to tell you what's going on? Heavens no. They have a vested interest in making sure you stay confused as much as they want to try and make me confused, which making me confused isn't that hard to do, but you get my point. I would much rather present you with some information and let you make up your own mind. And better than that, I would much rather hear your opinion about it. So as I say, this is Chattin' on the Porch. My name is Brian Trippett. I am known as the Front Porch Conservative, or known by some as the common man with common sense, who wears a very good-looking chapeau. We're on Rumble, we're on Twitter, and we are on that quaint little alternative website called YouTube. So come on in, pull up a chair, pour yourself a cup of something. Let's sit down and talk about what's going on. And boy, is there still news to be talked about. Every daggone day, somebody's got something they got to talk about. Goodness me. News everywhere you turn. We're glad to have you here. It's wonderful to see all you guys. Thanks for being here with us. And let's settle in. Let's have some fun tonight. TBA over on Rumble says, howdy, Fedora Nation. I'm multitasking once again, but I'm here in spirit and maybe in the comment section. That's fine. We're glad to have you. WWG1 says, good evening all. Good evening, WWG. Glad to have you. So good for you guys to be with us tonight. So good to have everybody here tonight. So, by the way, all you Rumblers, you YouTubers, wherever you may be, I love getting your comments. So please feel free to drop them in and as we go throughout the night. Opinions are appreciated. While you're here, give us a thumbs up, both on YouTube and on Rumble, which I have a small bone to pick with my Rumble viewers. God love you. Don't get me wrong. You guys are great, but daggone, will you give me some thumbs up over there? Y'all are just, you come in, you view me, and you leave. I'm feeling used. Gee, just give me some thumbs up over there. Oh gosh, it's Monday. You have survived the first day of the week, and you have, more importantly, made it back to one of the most informative live streams on the whole of the internet, Chattin' on the Porch. And we've still got stuff to talk about, and it's carried over from the weekend. Some of it's brand new for this week, but all of it sort of ties together in its own very unique way. And thank God you've got me as a host to help sort all this stuff out for you. And I'm here to tell you, it's going to be a load of fun doing it. Well, there's continued fallout from the Trump verdict that happened on Thursday of last week. And, I knew there were going to be reverberations off of this thing, but man, little did I realize the kind of reverberations that there are. And it's just from so many different angles. And we really need to talk about it, because it's just, there's stuff that's happening that is just extraordinary right now. So we'll get into that here in just a second. We have, who is Gypsy? Good evening to you, my dear. Glad to see you. Oh, goodness. So much to talk about. So much to talk about tonight. And I want to start off with something that was said and has been said by Democrats everywhere, all the way from President Joe Biden all the way on down. There is a constant repeated refrain when it comes to the verdict that came out of Manhattan last Thursday. This was a local prosecution. The feds have nothing to do with it. The Biden administration, the Biden Justice Department, nothing to do with this. This was 12 individuals from Manhattan who gave a unanimous verdict, and the case was brought in Manhattan by District Attorney Alvin Bragg. The feds had nothing to do with it. I tell you what, I have never, well, I have. But if you want to know what it's like to see discipline in messaging, man, you have got, the Democrats are just absolutely world famous for it. When they have a narrative that they want you to hear and just get it stuck in your head, like that guy that goes over to the jukebox and, drops a quarter in and plays his favorite song over and over and over. And yes, that should tell you how old I am, that I use the term jukebox and a quarter to play a song. Yes. But it's that same guy that goes over to the jukebox and drops in a quarter to play his favorite song over and over and over and over again. That's what the Democrats are doing, because they have got to make you believe. They've got to make the unwashed believe that this what happened in New York had nothing whatsoever to do with Joe Biden or the Biden Justice Department. And to give you an idea of how far they're going and the lengths that they are going to, I have got to play you a clip that ran over the weekend. This week with George Stephanopoulos on ABC News. One of the guests that he had on was Will Scharf, who, if you don't know who Will Scharf is, number one, he's a member of Trump's legal team. And number two, he's a current candidate for the Attorney General of the state of Missouri. He was on with George Stephanopoulos, and they had this exchange. And I tell you what, listening to old Georgie boy, yeah, it just boggles the mind that he is the way he is. Unbelievable. Folks, do me a favor, and let's check out this clip, because I think you're going to begin to see what I'm talking about here. Oh, see, there it goes. There it goes. He had, the Manhattan District Attorney has nothing to do with the Attorney General of New York or the Justice Department. They cannot get off this horse. They're going to ride this thing until it dies. Nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with the Justice Department. Nothing to do with anybody. No, this is just a local, little old teeny weeny local little prosecution. Yeah, buddy. So let's listen to the rest of exchange. Now, did you hear what Stephanopoulos said? There's no evidence of that. There's no evidence of that. Oh, wait, no sound? Oh, my God. I don't understand. Daggone it. Just when I set something up real good, and then the thing just goes, whoop. Hang on a minute. Sorry about this, folks. One of these days, I got to get me a producer. All right, let's try this again. And we'll back this up. Let me know if we've got sound on this one, folks. Sorry about that. These things do happen. All right, let's try it again. If you guys can hear this, no, TBA, I know it wasn't you. It's all me. It usually is. So yeah, take a listen to this. Tell me if there's sound. Here we go. So check it out.
And of course, the Attorney General in Manhattan has nothing to do with the Department of Justice. Finally, what do you expect from the sentencing process?
I vehemently disagree that the district attorney in New York was not politically motivated here, and I vehemently disagree that President Biden and his political allies aren't up to their necks in this prosecution. I think the fact
there's
that
no
the
evidence of that, sir.
Now, did you catch what Stephanopoulos just said? There's no evidence of that. I am absolutely telling you guys, they're going to ride this horse until it dies. They have got to convince people who are not necessarily paying attention to what's going on. They have got to convince everybody that Biden and his people, their hands are clean on this thing. They have nothing to do with this. Now, keep on listening to this exchange.
Sir, there's no, I'm not going to let you continue to say that. There's just zero evidence of that.
I'm not going to continue to let you say that. Well, guess what? You're going to have to, big boy, because it's true, and we'll prove it here in just a minute. Let's listen to the rest of Will Scharf.
Well, how about the fact that Matthew Colangelo was standing over Alvin Bragg's shoulder when he announced this verdict? I mean, Colangelo was the number 3 official in the Biden Department of Justice who suddenly disappears and shows up as an assistant district attorney.
Look at the look on Stephanopoulos' face. He cannot believe, number one, that Will Scharf is doing this to him on his show, and he can't believe what he's hearing. He can't, well, maybe even worse than that, he can't believe that his viewers are hearing what they're hearing. But let's continue.
Right as Trump's case in New York starts to proceed.
After
you want to talk about political You want to talk about political coordination?
This has nothing
George,
to do.
right
This has nothing to do. No, it's not. This has nothing to do with President Biden.
Oh, George, be very, very careful. You are about to step in some doo-doo.
You want to answer the question about the sentencing process or not?
I completely disagree that this has nothing to do with President Biden. With respect to sentencing, as I said before, we're going to vigorously challenge this case on appeal. I don't think President Trump is going to end up being subject to any sentence whatsoever. And we look forward to getting this case into the next court and taking this again all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court if necessary to vindicate President Trump's rights.
Okay, so there you go. The Democrats are absolutely going to ride that horse all the way. They're going to basically say, yep, this has nothing to do with Biden, nothing to do with the Justice Department, yada, yada, yada. TBA says, so is this just on the DOJ all by themselves? No, I don't believe that either. Exactly. So more to be found there. And here's another clip that's really good. Andrew Weissman of Enron fame, Andrew Weissman of the Mueller report, one of the most partisan lawyers in the entirety of Washington, D.C. I want you to hear something because he let something slip. This is extraordinarily telling. Folks, do me a favor and check this out. I think you'll find this very interesting.
What is before us is a president who is living the rule of law. He is living it in the most personal way.
Oh, please. I just had dinner a little while ago. Do not make me barf.
He is not telling DOJ to stand down, which, is his power to do.
Whoa. What? Wait a second. The president has the power to tell DOJ to stand down? What? Whoa. I thought that presidents and the Justice Department are separate of each other. I thought the president has no authority whatsoever to tell DOJ what to do. He puts his attorney general in, and after that, my hands are off of this. Nope, got nothing to do with it. But Andrew Weissman just said the quiet part out loud. That presidents can tell the DOJ to stand down. Let's listen to a little more of this profundity.
It is a norm the reason he's not doing it. He could tell the Department of Justice, this is what you need to do. He is not pardoning his son, which he could do. These are federal charges. Right. He is not doing that. That is a power. He has a power for both of those. He is not doing it because he is living what it means to have a rule of law in this country. Yeah. And if you want to know if he believes it, you could actually see what is happening with his own son. I'm not saying that he should get credit for it.
Oh my God. Small Time says, what's stopping a conservative DA from prosecuting Joe Biden for? Yeah. That's a great question. That is an absolutely great question. And my answer to that is not a thing other than the decision of the DA to do it. Megyn Kelly said something recently, and I got to say this, and I'm not trying to jump on Megyn Kelly here, okay? So don't misunderstand what I'm about to say. But I never thought she'd ever get to this point. Megyn Kelly said, look, it's about time that the Republicans start teaching the Democrats a lesson and give them a taste of their own medicine. Because it's the only way you're going to make this stuff stop. And under normal circumstances, I would never want to go that far. But we've gotten past the point of being able to talk these people down. It's reached the point, the only way to get them to stop is to do exactly what she said. Give them a taste of their own medicine. And I think Small Time's absolutely right here. What's stopping a conservative DA from going after Biden? Not a thing. And frankly, they ought to do it. Yeah, exactly. We've crossed the Rubicon. Ain't no going back now. You might not choose to employ that option, but the option's employed now. We're done. We're there. Now, I bring up these two clips because I found a piece today that is just so daggone good. And it's by really one of my favorite writers. And this WWG1 says, this is what having too little testosterone looks like. You talking about Weissman? Oh, yeah. Yeah, he, bless his heart. Boy. But there's a piece at the Federalist by Margot Cleveland. She is quickly becoming one of my favorite writers. And Republicans, conservatives, people who have been following this stuff for a while have been trying to get the message out. Hey, Joe Biden and the Justice Department are intimately involved with what's going on up in New York City. And the mainstream press has done everything they possibly can to suppress that particular aspect of what's going on with Alvin Bragg's prosecution up there. But Margot Cleveland does a fabulous job pointing out some of the obvious, and I have got to show you this story. And I will put this in chat if you ever want to reference this, because this is just too good. Headline: Joe Biden's fingerprints are all over the prosecutions of Donald Trump. Again, by Margot Cleveland, we've got the following. In response to Americans' outcry over the political prosecutions of Donald Trump and a Manhattan jury convicting the former president of 34 felony counts, Joe Biden declared it's irresponsible for anyone to say that this was rigged just because they don't like the verdict. Coming from the commander in rigging, this proclamation means nothing. Now, I got to tell you something. We played this clip on Saturday for Front Porch Brunch, my live stream on the weekends. And for those of you who are stopping by here for the first time and you're not familiar with my work, I do a live stream 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. And I do a live stream on the weekends called Front Porch Brunch. Usually it's on 10:30 a.m. Saturday mornings. And we played this very clip. And Biden did, she's quoting him correctly. It's irresponsible for anyone to say this was rigged just because they don't like the verdict. Margot Cleveland continues. Biden and those seeking to ensure his reelection have their hands all over Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's prosecution of the former president. A lead prosecutor for Bragg during the trial was Matthew Colangelo. In December 2022, Colangelo left the Biden Department of Justice to, quote, jumpstart the criminal case against Trump. Biden had previously named Colangelo his acting associate attorney general, the third highest ranking official in the DOJ. And there's plenty more where that came from. Colangelo's role in prosecuting his former boss's political opponent provides the most obvious evidence of the Biden administration's involvement in the Manhattan DA's criminal targeting of Trump. But the rigging started even earlier than that. As I previously reported, the incestuous relationship between the Manhattan DA's office and Team Biden began as early as mid-2021, or mid-February 2021. Then, Bragg's predecessor, District Attorney Cyrus Vance, now listen to this, arranged for a private criminal defense attorney and a former federal prosecutor named Mark Pomeranitz to be a special assistant district attorney for the Manhattan DA's office. As the New York Times, not right-wing news, by the way, as the New York Times reported at that time, Pomeranitz was to work, quote, solely on the Trump investigation during a temporary leave of absence from his law firm, Paul, Weiss, Rifkin, Wharton, and Garrison. Quote, but even before being sworn in as a special assistant to the Manhattan DA, Pomeranitz had reportedly been, quote, been helping with the cause informally for months. Even Democrats' most reliable old gray lady of the evening acknowledged, hiring an outsider is a highly unusual move for a prosecutor's office. Oh, but ladies and gentlemen, it gets worse. Check this part out. Soon after the Manhattan DA hired Pomeranitz, two of his colleagues, Elisa Abuhoff and Caroline Williamson, also took leaves of absence from Paul and Weiss to serve as special assistant district attorneys on the Trump investigation. Quote, For a law firm to lend not one, but 3 lawyers to the Manhattan DA's office seems rather magnanimous until you consider Paul Weiss's previous generosity to Joe Biden. As I previously reported during Biden's first run for the White House, the law firm of Paul and Weiss hosted a $2,800 per plate fundraiser for about 100 guests. Paul Karp, the chair of Paul and Weiss and Partners, also topped the list of Biden fundraisers, bundling at least $100,000 for then-candidate Biden. At that time, Karp wrote in an email, quote, "As someone who cares passionately about preserving the rule of law, safeguarding our democracy, and protecting fundamental liberties, I've been delighted to do everything I possibly can to support the Joe Biden-Kamala Harris ticket." Biden's relationship with Karp continued after his election, with the president including Karp and his wife at a state dinner with the Australian Prime Minister. Karp and his fellow Paul Weiss lawyers continue to fund Biden's re-election campaign. In fact, Biden's connection to the firm is so strong, Bloomberg branded Paul and Weiss and Associates the, quote, Biden-era New York Power Center. But for Paul and Weiss and Partners, lending Pomeranitz to the Manhattan DA's office to control the Trump investigation, the former president likely would never have been charged. According to Pomeranitz, Bragg had decided, quote, to not go forward with the grand jury presentation and not seek criminal charges, indefinitely suspending the investigation. Are you catching what he's laying down, what Margot Cleveland's laying down here? Were it not for this guy, Pomeranitz, who's currently a defense attorney and a former federal prosecutor, were it not for Pomeranitz and these other 2 lawyers going over to work for the Manhattan DA's office, Alvin Bragg never brings his case. We continue. Pomeranitz made those claims in the resignation letter he tendered to Bragg in early 2022, which was deliberately leaked to the New York Times. Quote, Pomeranic's letter and his claims that Bragg had suspended the Trump probe triggered a political firestorm, which the Manhattan DA sought to quell by telling the public the investigation was ongoing. Soon after, Bragg capitulated, hiring Biden's high-ranking DOJ lawyer, Matthew Colangelo, who proceeded to indict and convict Trump. In contrast to the Biden-connected attorneys who secured Trump's indictment and conviction in late 2021, at least 3 career prosecutors in the Manhattan DA's office were asked to be removed from the investigation of Trump, reportedly, quote, concerned that the investigation was moving too quickly without clear evidence to support possible charges. Ladies and gentlemen, the next time that George Stephanopoulos or anybody in the mainstream media, and let me, right now, while I'm thinking about this, let me drop this article in chat for everybody. Let me do it first on the YouTube side. Got it? And now let me drop this on the Rumble side. The next time anybody, friend, whatever, tries to tell you that Biden had nothing to do with this, the Justice Department had nothing to do with this, you just reference this article or send it to your friends and say, look, y'all be honest with yourselves. Y'all be honest. Read this article. And if they don't want to read it, just take the facts and just put it right in their face. Politely, with love. I'm not saying be belligerent about it. I mean, there's only one of me in the world. But my point, no. There ain't no way in the world. There's no way in the world Biden can get away with saying his Justice Department and he had nothing to do with this. That's why it makes me, George Stephanopoulos makes me angry anyway, as a general rule of thumb. But listening to him try and lecture Will Scharf, oh, that is not true, sir. I am not going to let you go on saying this. No, what you don't want to let going on is the truth getting out there about what actually happened. And Margot Cleveland brings up a fantastic point about all this. Had it, and I didn't realize this until I read the article, had it not been for Pomeranitz and those other 2 lawyers from that Paul and Weiss and Associates law firm, Going into Bragg's office, more likely Bragg never takes this case goes the distance. He lets it drop. As a matter of fact, remember what we read at the tail end of that? 3 prosecutors in Bragg's office resigned because they said this investigation is moving too fast and there's no evidence here. So with all due respect, Mr. Stephanopoulos, or anybody else out there in the media, or any other Democrat politician trying to convince me that this is nothing more than a local prosecution and Alvin Bragg did this all on his own, and the prosecutors, they were just good, concerned citizens and they knew that Donald Trump was guilty. That is serious BS. That is Bravo Sierra, as they say in the military. TBA says mainstream media will lose control of the narrative on the Trump case in 3, 2, 1. The independent media will control this narrative by Wednesday. I'll make it probably sooner. Probably. And see, and I'm glad you brought this up. I am really glad you brought this up because this goes to something that just sort of proves a point. And I'm about to say what I'm about to say, not because it's me. I mean, I'm a guy, I read some news, I come to you, I try and present you with what I know and say, hey, what do you think about this? But we just, in a half an hour, doing a little bit of research, sitting here talking about it, you and I, on the electronic front porch, we just sat here in about a half an hour and blew up this whole narrative that the mainstream media and the Democrats are trying to put out there, that this is a local prosecution. And my point is this, not because it's me, but because of where we are via technology, via information, via just good old nosiness. We, the information consuming public, can find out for ourselves what's actually going on. We don't need George Stephanopoulos. We don't need Lester Holt. We don't need whoever the nightly news anchor on ABC is anymore. We don't need Nora O'Donnell at CBS. We don't need Wolf Blitzer at CNN. We don't need Joe and Mika in the morning. We don't need these people. We can come to these conclusions for ourselves, and we can share this information. I mean, here I am. I've got 2 channels. I got one on Rumble, and I shouldn't say 2 channels. I got a channel. I got something going on Rumble, and I got something going on YouTube. Okay. For anyone who sees this live stream and takes a look at the information I'm putting out there, they can realize, hey, how come I'm not hearing about this on MSNBC or CNN or ABC or CBS or ABC? How come I don't hear this from my guys I listen to? There's a lot of answers to that question, but laying all that aside, because they don't want to tell you. They don't want to tell you. TBA says, is that a bit of a quid pro quo for Biden I see in that article? That's a good point. That's a real good point. And here's another one. Just like Biden had no knowledge of the raid at Mar-a-Lago. You got it. You got it. Smartest audience on the internet right here, ladies and gentlemen. Hands down. Much like that line from The Taming of the Shrew. Though we be tiny, we are fierce. I love you guys. Absolutely love you guys. So, before we continue on with this line of thought, since it's the top of the hour, would you all do me a favor? If you are not a subscriber to my channel on YouTube or on Rumble, please do me a favor and give me a sub on both places. I am knocking on the door of 900 over on YouTube, and it's been a long climb to get there, believe me, because I had to shift gears slightly. But please subscribe to my channel on YouTube. Please subscribe to my channel on Rumble. And yes, TBA, smash that thumbs up on both places. Oh my goodness. Absolutely hit some thumbs up. It would really help me out. I genuinely appreciate it. And I have not forgotten about this. We are not allowed to read the facts. Oh, I remember that. No, I have not forgotten about it. I just tend to ignore him any way I can. No, I don't forget guys like Cuomo, but I just tend to be like, no, I'll figure it out for myself. Thank you very much. Oh my, what? TBA just wrote in the Rumble chat, YouTube banned me just after the J6 party went down. Holy cow. Did you have a channel of your own? I did not know this. Oh my goodness. Did you have a channel? I mean, did you have a channel or what happened? I mean, drop it in chat. I want to hear this story. I really do. Oh my word. That's just straight crazy. Straight crazy. That is nuts. My goodness. All right. Okay, I don't want WWG1. I do not want to think about Cuomo's nipple rings. That's just more than I need to be thinking about after dinner. That's just TBA says I didn't have a channel, but my character got permanently banned. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, that is crazy. Just straight crazy. Now, a couple of more thoughts about this whole the verdict and the aftermath and everything else. So, what's the upshot of some of what's continued to happen here? Well, good question. Really good question, actually. And there's one part I want to point out, and this kind of makes me sad. I'm not going to lie about it. This is from Breitbart. Headline, YouGov poll, trust in judicial system drops after Trump conviction. Oh, the look on that man's face. Oof. Anyway, article by Wendell Husebo, who, by the way, is a great writer. If you're not following Wendell on Twitter or various other places, you really need to, because he is a fabulous writer. The conviction of former President Trump appeared to negatively impact Americans' outlook on the judicial system, a YouGov poll recently found. The survey suggests the prosecution of Trump, President Biden's political opponent, eroded faith in the American system of justice. In just 6 weeks, from April 16 to May 31st, trust in the American jury system fell by 3 points, 54 to 51. The drop in trust was greater among independents and Republicans. Independents' trust in the judicial system dropped 4 points, while Republicans dropped 17. Among Democrats, trust grew by 10 points, a 35% gap between Democrats and Republicans. That gap was 8 points before Trump's conviction. This is not good, folks. I mean, look, there are a lot of things that make the American system of government unique in the world. And part of it is, and I'm going to use this term broadly, our respect for the rule of law. Okay? Part of that respect for the rule of law is the belief that all people are treated equally and that the system treats everyone fairly. I could sit here and list a whole string of judicial stories, cases, where the American people are sitting there going, there's just no way in the world but the facts say this, and this guy's getting this treatment, but this guy over here, he's getting treated differently. And they're looking at what happened to Trump. And there's a whole host of issues philosophically and judicially that surround the case, the trial, and the decision. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and go into all of them. We could be here all night. But my point is this. We're looking at this, and the American people are like, this is not fair. This just makes no sense. This can't possibly be fair. And I think one of the biggest things that people are looking at is, I thought we sort of understood in this country, you don't go after former presidents criminally, and you most certainly don't go after, your former political opponent. That is gone. I mean, Small Time said it best, we've crossed the Rubicon. That's one of the Rubicons we've crossed. in all this. And it's just, and now you're starting to see it. You're starting to see it in polling. People, I mean, look, there has been a significant distrust of the American political system or judicial system for quite some time. But now people are looking at it going, this is getting scary. This is just getting frightening. Excuse me. And they're looking at it going, this cannot possibly make sense. Now, that said, there are some interesting political ramifications that are starting to be seen coming out of the verdict. So let's talk about some of them. Oh, well, TBA, we'll get to that. TBA says, look what happened with black voters since Friday. Ooh, buddy. Oh, and I got a touch of something that gets to that, but I want to get to some broader stuff first. On Thursday of last week, and again on Saturday, I said there are one of three things. Do it this way. There are one of three things that can happen with the polling coming out of this. I said either A, Biden gets a bounce, B, nothing at all happens, or C, Trump gets a polling bump out of this. Now, I need to add one caveat to the first one, and the first one says Biden gets a bump. Well, the caveat that I need to add is he gets a bump that is significant. Rich Barris, who I will constantly reference throughout this live, not just this live stream, but over the course of the life of this channel, because Rich Barris is probably one of the best pollsters in America and one of the most credible sources when it comes to trying to figure out what the heck does polling mean. Barris keeps pointing out something that a lot of people in his line of work are saying, but he says it very eloquently. And it's this: in order for Biden to win or to be assured of victory, he has to win the popular vote by at least 4.5 points or more. Okay. Now, the reason I say he has to have that margin to ensure victory, remember what happened in 2020. Now, hold on, before y'all say anything, just hear me out. Biden won the national popular vote by 4.5 points, and he barely, and I mean barely, won the Electoral College. If you take the vote margin in Arizona, Wisconsin, and Georgia, and you put them together, that's about 41,000 votes. Maybe 42 at the most. So for Biden to win and be assured that he's going to do so, he's got to win at least 4.5 points of the national vote or more. Well, there has been some polling that has come out, and again, it's early. Okay, let me just say this. It's early. I add that caveat. But if Biden was hoping to get a bounce out of the polling, it's not there yet. And personally, I don't think it's going to be. Let me take you to the pages of realclearpolitics.com, and you're going to see what I'm talking about here in just 1 second. There's a poll that came out today, published by an organization called Issues and Ideas, in conjunction with the TIP poll. And Biden and Trump are tied. Now, I can just hear y'all lefties out there who are watching this live stream, and y'all know you do. You just don't want to admit it. I hear you lefties out there right now. See, look at what's happening here. Yeah, Trump, he's sinking. Yeah, Biden, he's on the rise. Yeah, there's just one little problem with that, my friend. May I respectfully point out something to you that you're probably either forgetting or you don't realize. Remember what we said. This poll shows them as being tied. The last time this poll was ran was the beginning of May, and Biden had a 2-point lead. That's right. That's right. How you doing, Outlaw? Glad to have you here, brother. Yeah. The decision now, let me point out something too. Let me go back on this for a second, okay? This poll was ran. Take a look. This poll was ran from the 29th, so this would have been started the day before the verdict, and it went through Friday evening. So the results, and they polled about 1,600 people, or no, a little under 1,700 people nationwide. So you have got to figure that the impact of the verdict has got to be seen in these results. And you know what? The best that Biden can say out of this is there's no change. Worst case for Biden, at least according to this one poll, he's lost 2 points. Now, yes, TBS, that's what I'm saying. The last time that poll was ran by Issues and Ideas, Biden had a 2-point lead. He got nothing. Biden got absolutely nothing out of a guilty verdict on Trump. Nothing. Not a thing. At least so far. Now, again, there's a lot more polling to come out. You're probably going to see more and more of it, roll out probably, I don't know, probably Thursday or Friday this week in earnest. And then you'll see some of it going into the middle of next week. By then, we're going to have a really good idea of what the impact was of this verdict. If it even has impact at all. TBA says Trump walked in the UFC 302 event like a champ, didn't look like at all the verdict, and messed with his psyche. I saw that same thing. I don't have any clips of it pulled up, and I apologize to you guys. I probably should have. But, man, I tell you what, if that crowd, and now granted, and one commentator made a good point, and it's a fair point, a UFC crowd is going to be pretty much pro-Trump. Okay? It's not like he's walking into the lion's den to change anybody's mind. I mean, and I'm not speaking ill of fans of UFC or mixed martial arts. Don't get me wrong here. But my point is, that's a pretty pro-Trump crowd anyway. But still, not an ounce of impact. Not an ounce of impact. And this is a good point, too. Would have thought Biden's charming Cheshire cat smile. You would think. I will argue, and you're probably being a little bit sarcastic with that, but, I'll argue that grin he made was the worst mistake he could have ever made. As a matter of fact, and I do not have it pulled up, but I could probably get my hands on it real quick. Hang on a minute. And yeah, this is another good point too. How sorry of a leader can one be to spend billions of dollars to destroy a rival and suck worst after that? Tennessee, that is a great point. I've said, and many people have said, and I'm one of them, Donald Trump has basically taken the playbook of American politics and just shredded that sucker. I mean, if you'd asked me, call it 10 years ago, and you just, oh, okay, you are being sarcastic. See, I do understand women. If you'd asked me 10 years ago and described the situation like what we're living through now, and you'd asked me what would have happened, I said, Donald Trump would get out of the campaign, and the Republicans get themselves another nominee, and yada, yada, yada. Again, Donald Trump has basically rewritten, if he didn't destroy the political playbook that we all operate under, or the rules that, as we understand them, of how certain things are going to happen after this event happens, Donald Trump has rewritten the political playbook. And for the benefit, I would argue, of conservatives and populists everywhere, has probably rewritten the playbook in such a way to point out something. Hey, these rules, these supposed, rules that they've got about, what you should be expected to do after certain things happen, you don't have to live under those rules. I'm proof of that. Now, granted, Donald Trump's a whole different political animal. I'm not saying he isn't, but you get my point. He's actually showing people, hey, these Democrats, these power brokers, these opinion makers, they're not nearly as powerful as you think they are. And that knowledge is a great thing to know. All right, let's get to some other stuff here. We got some other polling results, and this one, remember what I said, there's one of three things that could happen here. Either Biden gets a significant bump in the polls, B, nothing happens, or C, Trump gets a bump. Well, here's a poll out of North Carolina, and I think this one's very interesting. Let me get this pulled up real quick. Yeah, here it is. Here it is. This one's good. Y'all gonna love this. Check this out. Out of the great Tar Heel state, a poll just dropped. It was run by NSOR. The poll ran. It started the day before the verdict. It ended on Sunday. 600 likely voters, 4% margin of error. Now, Trump didn't necessarily go up in this poll compared to the last poll, but Biden dropped. Let me say that again. This poll, which covers the period before and after the verdict, as a matter of fact, not just after the verdict, you had about 2 or 3 days for the news about that verdict to sort of marinate around in people's minds before they got a phone call from a pollster. Donald Trump didn't necessarily go up, but Joe Biden went down. Oh, and on this point, you're absolutely right. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I don't think, but it's not too far, actually. I don't think there's a snowball's chance in Dante's Inferno that Joe Biden wins North Carolina. I really don't. Because you got to remember something about North Carolina, and this is just my observation. I could be dead wrong about this. But remember something about North Carolina. It's a lot like a lot of southern states in that you have what are called these days the term for them are ancestral Democrats, okay? These are Democrats, or the old term used to be blue dog Democrats, okay? And it goes like this. If a blue dog were running for something, everybody would vote for the blue dog, okay? Well, that's more or less what an ancestral Democrat is, okay? These are people that they are Democrats, their daddies were Democrats, their granddaddies are Democrats, they've always voted Democrat, but culturally and politically in a lot of ways, they are not representative of the Democrat Party anymore, or at least the mainstream of the Democrat Party, okay? A lot like West Virginia, my home state. I'll never forget years ago, I had a buddy of mine who was a radio talk show host, and he invited me on one day to co-host with him. And he had a guest who I will just call him a major person of influence. Okay, I don't want to use his full name, but whatever. And we got into the discussion of this kind of topic, although we came about it a roundabout sort of way. And I asked him on the air, I said, Bill, explain something to me. I said, if you ask the average Democrat in West Virginia, do you think taxes ought to be kept low? They'd say, hell yeah. They'll say, do you think that the government ought to be allowed to confiscate your guns? The average Democrat in West Virginia would say, hell no. If you ask the average Democrat in West Virginia, do you think there ought to be restrictions on abortion, or do you think we ought to just let it go however people want to do it? Most Democrats in West Virginia would say, well, heck no, there ought to be restrictions on abortion. To which I'd look at that Democrat and go, congratulations, you're on your way to being Republican. You just don't know it yet. That's what these ancestral Democrats are like. Culturally, they're conservative. Economically, they're moderate to conservative, depending on the issue. But in North Carolina, I guarantee you, Joe Biden ain't going to win North Carolina. He might get within 3-4 points. I don't think he will. He's going to be a bigger blowout than that. But he ain't getting near North Carolina. Now, I've pointed out the polling, but I got to point out something else. And this, to me, is the fascinating aspect of what came out of that trial. And I have to give the American people a ton of credit here, because they're doing something that is just it's just extraordinary. And I truly do mean this. I really do. After the verdict, you guys probably saw this. This was a press release from the Trump campaign. And I'll read this in case you haven't seen it yet. Now, this was on Friday. This is released probably around a little after 5 o'clock on Friday, the last day of the month. In the 24 hours since crooked Joe Biden and his New York henchmen got their sham trial verdict, the Trump campaign has raised about $52.8 million through online digital fundraising platform, which, by the way, guys, in case you don't remember, they got so much traffic to their online donation site, it crashed it for a while. That's how many people were coming out to donate to Trump. That's more so $52.8 million in 24 hours. That's about $2 million per hour. Now, I want you to keep that figure in your head for a second, because I'm going to drop a number here in just a minute that's going to truly, truly blow your mind. Okay. More than 1/3 of those donors are brand new to the campaign. It is clear that more and more Americans are seeing through the Biden election interference and joining President Trump in the movement to save our nation. Okay, now keep in mind that was 24 hours. 24 hours after the verdict, they raised almost $53 million. Okay. Now, by their own figures in that press release, about $2 million per hour. So if you tack on another 6 hours, that's about $12 million more dollars. So call it about $65 million from 5 o'clock on Thursday till midnight on Friday. Okay. I'm going to show you something that's just going to blow your mind. And we ought to talk about this, because this is just incredible. This was a press release that was put out by the Trump campaign just this afternoon. Okay. And this to me is just remarkable. President Trump's campaign raised $141 million in the month of May. Now, I'm going to read this in its entirety, and I want you to let this sink in. Today, President Trump's campaign, together with the RNC, announced a massive $141 million fundraising haul in the month of May, a response of support for President Trump while facing the sham Biden trial and verdict that has outraged and motivated Americans from every walk of life. The overwhelming financial success is the result of over 2 million donations, which came in at an average of $70.27 per donation. In addition to that staggering amount, 25% of May's donors were brand new to the 2024 campaign, making the month the best so far this year. Now, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to stop right there, because I want to play you something which, when I heard this Sunday, It about blew my mind, but knowing where it came from, he's got no reason to lie, contrary to what people think. Eric Trump, the youngest son of Donald Trump Sr., was on Mornings with Maria on Fox News Business. He gave a piece of information that is just mind-blowing. I'm going to play it for you, and then I'm going to read the rest of that press release. But you guys have got to hear this for yourselves. This is Eric Trump with Maria Bartiromo, and here's what he has to say. Check this out.
This might be a little inside information, but as I was leaving my house about 37 seconds ago, I asked my wife, what are we up to now? And she said, just in terms of small dollar, we're well over $70 million. This is $21 donations, $43 donations, right? Small dollar donations. If you add the large dollar donations to it, you're over 200 million, but you're over $70 million. And by the way, Maria, wow. 30% of those people have never been seen before by a political party, right? I mean, these are Americans who are pissed off. They're coming out of the woodwork and they want to support a guy that they just believe is getting bamboozled by a system. And
okay. $70 million, and that's as of Sunday. I want to go back to that press release we were looking at a minute ago, and I want to finish it. And here's the rest of it. Let me back up a second. Additionally, organizations supporting President Trump have raised another $150 million in May. Taken together, the campaign and other Trump supporting organizations raised $300 million in the month of May. Let me read that again. Taken together, the campaign and other Trump supporting organizations raised nearly $300 million in the month of May. And I'm seeing your comments in chat, so let's get hello. Oh my God. Hello. I mean, whoo! Unbelievable. I sit here and I'm really in awe, and not necessarily. And let me kind of give this some context. I am in awe of the American people at a time when economically things are tough for everybody. Okay. At a time when, inflation is hitting pocketbooks for individuals and families, where they're cutting corners and they're doing whatever. Some people are working 2 jobs, some people 3 jobs, what have you. And then they see something that happened up in New York, like what happened Thursday. And then out of the generosity of their hearts, in spite of the tough times in which they find themselves, they're donating $50, $100, $75, whatever they can, whatever is possible. I mean, think about it for just a second, okay? The Trump campaign raised go back to the front of that statement. The Trump campaign, together with the RNC, announced a massive $141 million fundraising haul in the month of May. So if you take $65 million off of that, which that $65 million is more than likely accurate, because, like I said, they raised $53 million in 24 hours after the verdict. If it hadn't been for that, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, the Trump campaign and the RNC would have raised $78 million together in the month of May. That's impressive enough. But in basically 30 hours after that verdict, the American people, through small donations, raised about $64 million. Let that sink in. The American people, in the space of about 30 hours, 30 hours, donated about $64 million to the Trump campaign. I haven't got it pulled up here, but I should have. My apologies to you. Miriam Adelson, who's the widow of Sheldon Adelson, big Las Vegas casino owner, big in the gaming industry out in Nevada, etc. She's pledged on her own $100 million to a PAC that's supporting Donald Trump. Okay, $300 million between the campaign, the RNC, and other Trump supporting organizations. It's incredible. It is just incredible. And yeah, Gypsy, you're right. Money talks, baby. Oh, and it's talking a lot. All these commentators out there in the mainstream media were like, well, Donald Trump, he's not going to be able to compete with Joe Biden in terms of financial resources. Wanna bet? Not after what happened Thursday. The money is no longer the money is no longer a factor. Okay? Now, I will add my caveat, the same caveat I added the other day. Money is good. I'm not saying it's not important. But right now, this is about activism. Right now, this is about being involved. I mean, don't get me wrong. If all that a person, or let me rephrase that. If all that a person is either able to do or wants to do is make a donation, I can respect that. But if Donald Trump's going to get back in the White House, he's going to need manpower on the ground. So my admonition is this: if you have the time and the ability to do it, volunteer to go knock on doors, volunteer to pass out literature, volunteer to be available to drive people to the polling place, make phone calls, send out emails, whatever that you can do or whatever you choose to do in your activism, however you wish to define that for your life and for yourself, do it. And Gypsy, you're absolutely right about this. If it weren't for Trump, the Republicans would be stone cold broke right now. And deservedly so, might I add. Yeah, and you could run the risk of getting on somebody's list. But you know what? And I'm not saying this to try to be sanctimonious. I'm really not. But man, they've already got us on the list anyway. We may as well earn it. We may as well earn our place on it. Just saying. TBA says the Republicans are stone cold broke in spirit. Yeah, and I've got an article, if we can get to it tonight, that I'm probably going to get myself in trouble for talking about it, but it ought to be brought up. Well, I'm going to say something's going to get me in trouble. Let's put it that way. Robert says he's on quite a few lists. Well, I get it. How you doing, Robert? It's good to have you here tonight, brother. Good to have you here. All right. Now, there are other things going on in the world, and we probably ought to get into it. But before we do, let me do a really quick commercial. And let's be honest, it wouldn't be my live stream if I weren't doing some kind of a commercial for myself. If you're here and you're watching this, or maybe if you're going to be watching this later on, would you do me a favor? Would you please give me a subscription? Would you please give me a subscription to my Rumble channel and to my YouTube channel? It would really help me out. And more than that, please, please, please hit the thumbs up button. I would genuinely appreciate it. I love what I do, and I want to try and spread the word as much as I possibly can with the time that I've got. So, please subscribe to my channels, and more importantly, give me a thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm. And anything else you can do to spread the word, and I know all you guys who are in here, you guys are fantastic at doing it, but let's try and build up this audience and get as many people in here as we possibly can at one time or another. Okay, there's the commercial. Let's get... What? The thumbs up is gone? I mean, the thumbs up is gone. What? Wait a second. Hold on a minute. Now I got to look at this myself. Are you talking about on YouTube or are you talking about on Rumble? Hang on, guys. I definitely got to see this. Hang on, guys. I'm almost there. No, it's still there. I can see the thumbs up on YouTube. I just went out live as if I were not in studio, but it's still there. That's weird. Plus, on top of that, I just lost another sub on YouTube. Thanks a lot. And I'm not complaining to you guys. I'm complaining to YouTube. Unbelievable. All right. Okay. Let's get to some other news of the day. And let's talk about it. Everybody's been focused on the trial of Donald Trump. And appropriately so. But there is now another trial that is about to get started. And this one, let's put it this way. We're going to test whether or not no man is above the law in this country. Because for all that the Democrats have done to try and get Donald Trump, now we're going to find out if the law is applied equally and with as much passion and relish as they've used it against him. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, Hunter Biden's gun trial started today. Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, we're going to find out whether or not no man is above the law, especially when you start reading about the case against the first son. Okay? So let's get into this because I think you're going to find this to be very interesting. The president's son is accused of illegally possessing a gun as a drug user in 2018. Article by Betsy Woodruff and Haley. I'm not even going to try that last name. That's going to get me in trouble. As Hunter Biden walks into court Monday to go on trial, he'll pass a familiar sight, a large photo of his father sporting a reassuring grin. The photo, hanging prominently in the lobby of a federal courthouse in dilapidated downtown Wilmington, is a vivid reminder of how the president's political career and now his son's legal travails both run through this struggling port city. For years, Hunter Biden has drawn scrutiny for his links to controversial Ukrainian, Chinese, and Romanian business ventures. Congressional Republicans and former President Donald Trump have accused him of influence peddling and corruption. But the trial, which opens Monday with jury selection, isn't about any of that. Instead, its focus is extraordinarily narrow. Biden will face 3 criminal counts for allegedly buying a gun while in the throes of addiction to crack cocaine. The trial, which is expected to last between 3 and 6 days, will dramatize some of the worst moments in Biden's life. 2 witnesses who may testify against him are the mothers of the 5 of the president's grandchildren. It will be the culmination of years of legal trouble for Biden and will be a source of pain for the president. Oh, no, boo-hoo. Who has long told associates that he's deeply concerned about his son's criminal exposure, including that it could jeopardize his sobriety. Oh, BS. I'll tell you what Joe Biden's concerned about. Joe Biden is concerned about Junior here flipping on Dad. That's exactly what Joe's concerned about. I mean, with all due respect to the writers over Politico, you guys are full of crap. Look, Hunter Biden is the front man and he's the bag man. The operation is very simple. Hunter and Joe's brother James are out there, trying to do business deals. They're trying to schmooze. They're trying to yada, yada, yada. It's not about business ventures per themselves. They're selling access. And that's not my words for it. That's Devin Archer, Hunter's old business partner. Okay? Devin described it perfectly. There were many occasions when Hunter would have, business associates around a table somewhere at a restaurant in DC or somewhere. He'd be calling his dad on the phone, putting on speakerphone. Or his dad would stop by and, glad hands, backslap a little bit, shake some hands. No, I'll tell you exactly what Joe's concerned about. Joe is concerned about whether or not Hunter spills the beans on any of the family business and somehow implicates him in doing it. Don't give me this, he's worried about his sobriety. If Joe was worried about Hunter's sobriety, he never would have had his son out there being the bag man and the front man for the operation. Okay? Please don't try and sell me on this line of garbage. Unbelievable. Anyway, let's get back to this article. I want to go a little further into the article, and I want to get down to what it is that he's on trial for. Here it is. The case against Hunter. The prosecutors helming the case, Derek Hines and Leo Wise, will lean heavily on Biden's memoir to show he was a drug user on October 12, 2018, when they say he bought a handgun from StarQuest Shooters and Survival Supply in Wilmington, Delaware. Biden didn't discuss a gun purchase in his memoir, but he gave a detailed account of his drug abuse. Prosecutors have called it his incriminating book and cited his description of drug abuse in 2018 around the time he allegedly bought the gun. They have also said they may call 3 of Biden's exes, Buell, Haley Biden, and a third woman identified as Zoe Caston. All 3 of them are expected to testify that Biden used crack cocaine around the time of the gun purchase. Haley Biden may also testify about the gun itself. She is said to have found it and thrown it away behind a grocery store because she feared Biden would turn it on himself. Prosecutors have also signaled they plan to prove Biden used illegal drugs by citing text messages he sent. Some of those messages come from an iCloud account they subpoenaed. Others come from a laptop Biden is said to have abandoned at a computer repair shop. Oh, come on, guys. Others come from a laptop Biden is said to have abandoned at a computer repair shop. Oh, you mean the infamous laptop that he dropped off in Wilmington, Delaware, never came back? You talking about the ones with all the pictures and the invoices and the emails and the everything else? You mean the laptop that's got enough evidence on it to bury not just Hunter, but Joe and all the other members of the family politically and put him in jail? That laptop, folks? Is that the one you guys from Politico are talking about? Oh my God. Others come from a laptop Biden is said to have abandoned at a computer repair shop. Oh, spare me, people. Jeez. Anyway, back to the article. Biden and his allies have maintained for years that material gleaned from that laptop, which pro-Trump operatives have distributed and published, cannot be presumed to be authentic. Well, they can't presume that anymore. That laptop is verified to be accurate. And not just by me, by the way, but by independent forensic experts. They all verify the fact the laptop is genuine, everything that's on it is accurate, and it belongs to Hunter. They have said, talking about Hunter Biden and his people, they have said some content attributed to it is altered or distorted, and they have never confirmed that the president's son left anything at a computer store. Well, Hunter and his people don't have to confirm that anything was left at a computer store. We've got overwhelming mounds of evidence that that laptop belongs to Hunter. We have got overwhelming mounds of evidence that confirm the contents are accurate. Washington Post said it. New York Times said it. CBS did their own investigation on it. Everybody knows that laptop and its contents are absolutely 100% accurate. Cut the crap, Hunter. You and your posse can give it a rest. Anyway, back to the article. They're about to get me wound up into a rant. Prosecutors, however, have said they have confirmed the authenticity of much of the laptop's contents by verifying text and emails with the people Biden sent them to. They have said they will use it at trial, and they have criticized Biden's claims that its contents were distorted by bad actors. Quote, he has not provided any evidence or information that shows his laptop contains false information, and the government's evidence shows the opposite. The defendant's laptop is real. It will be introduced as a trial exhibit and contains significant evidence of the defendant's guilt, reads a May 22nd filing from the prosecution. So, this trial is supposed to take place for about 3 to 6 days. It's a jury of his peers, and no one's above the law. So let's see what comes up with. Zippy over on Rumble with a Rumble rant. Thank you very much, sir. Republicans are more like the common working class. They tend to be practical. Politics is anything but practical, and the Nootsies love their lists. True that. Another Rumble rant. Thank you again. Have a drink. Well, a sip on me. Have a drink on me, brother. Oh, goodness. Gypsy says, yeah, good point. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And this is a good point. If only the public knew the extent. I'll take it one step further. If there had been no election interference, good night, brother. If there had been no election interference in 2020 from Google and Facebook, and the American people would have gotten the chance to look at the contents of that laptop for themselves, ain't no way in the world Joe Biden wins the presidency. No way in the world. Never would have happened. There's your election interference, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, ma'am. Glad to see you. Glad you're able to join. So, yeah, Hunter Biden's trial gets started in earnest. So, let's just see what happens here. Now, Hunter did get a lot of support. He did get a lot of support. Jill Biden stopped by, okay, among other things. And believe it or not, Hunter got a piece of legal advice from, of all people, the New York Times. There is a great, and I'm going to go ahead right now and put this in chat on both places. Let me drop this in on Rumble. This is a great piece in the New York Times, and I'm going to recommend it to you guys because this is really some solid stuff. I'm going to read a little bit of this because this is good. I'm not kidding. Hunter Biden should take a plea deal quickly. Now, the reasons for the plea deal, this will kind of crack you up. This is a guest essay on the op-ed pages of the New York Times by Sarah Isger, and she is a senior editor at the Dispatch, and she's the host of a legal podcast called Advisory Opinions. Hunter Biden faces up to 25 years in prison if convicted on 3 felony gun charges in a trial that is set to begin in Wilmington, Delaware on Monday. In the meantime, his father is behind in many polls, his financial benefactors reportedly tapped out, and his best legal arguments require gutting federal gun control laws. An embarrassing trial that he is likely to lose will only make things worse. An early plea agreement in which he agreed to plead guilty to 2 misdemeanor tax charges and entered into a deferred prosecution on the gun charges fell apart last summer. But a criminal defendant can accept a plea deal from the prosecution any time before the jury returns its verdict, which means that he might still have a chance to avoid a full trial. If he can, he should. To bring federal charges, the Department of Justice manual advises that a prosecutor should believe that the defendant is guilty, and the prosecutor believes he has evidence that will prove the defendant's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, and the prosecutor believes that a reasonable jury would convict the defendant. In practice, this means that once the Department of Justice has indicted you, they believe they will win, and they almost always do. okay, go a little bit further into this, there would be enough of an incentive for most people to plead guilty to the federal gun charges. Hunter Biden has even more. First, there's his father's reputation to consider. Okay. Theodore Roosevelt is said to have remarked that he could be president or he could control his daughter, but he couldn't do both. President Biden is faring no better at juggling these two roles. On several occasions, he has invited his son to the White House events alongside the Attorney General, who's responsible for prosecuting him. Despite the fact that it's inappropriate for the president to comment on current Justice Department investigations, Biden was not able to resist publicly by saying in May 2023, quote, "My son has done nothing wrong." Last week, President Biden visited Beau Biden's widow, Haley, at her home near the anniversary of his oldest son's death. The problem is that Ms. Biden is expected to be a key witness against Hunter Biden, and President Biden's visit raised allegations of witness tampering from the president's critics. Well, it's not just allegations. I would argue that's exactly what he was doing. He might deny it, but the appearance is there. A White House spokesman said the president did not discuss the trial during the visit. Okay. Second, Hunter Biden is low on money. Since Hunter Biden met Kevin Morris, a Hollywood entertainment lawyer, at a campaign fundraiser for his father in 2019, Mr. Morris has functioned as a financial lifeline for Hunter, shelling out over $6.5 million to help cover costs related to things like back taxes and child support. He even agreed to pay nearly $900,000 for some of Hunter Biden's artwork. Now on the brink of the trial, Mr. Morris has run out of resources to help, according to an associate, and it's unclear how Hunter Biden's legal team will pay for the expert witnesses they were hoping to have testify at the trial. Abby Lowell, his lead attorney for the trial, has reportedly sought fees of over $1,500 per hour in the past, and he doesn't work alone. Jeez. Third reason Hunter should seek a plea deal. Hunter Biden's best arguments aren't even the ones he can make at trial. In his own memoir, he admitted that he regularly used drugs around the time he bought the gun. That means the outcome of this trial seems largely a foregone conclusion. On appeal, however, Hunter is likely to argue that the law itself is unconstitutional infringement on his Second Amendment right to own a gun. This is politically tricky, but a legally reasonable argument. After all, the Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit already held that the law was invalid as applied to admitted marijuana users. But cocaine is different from marijuana. And then there's the awkwardness of the president's son trying to convince the Supreme Court to invalidate part of the most widely used gun control laws in the country while his dad campaigns on passing stricter gun control laws. In short, he should take whatever deal he's being offered. It doesn't get easier from here. No, it doesn't. And frankly, I mean, look, all things being equal, I think Hunter Biden's goose is cooked here. That said, we're going to find out if the law applies equally to all people. Now, like I said, this trial shouldn't take long. I mean, Politico is reporting that it shouldn't take any more than a week. So let's see what happens here. Let's just see what happens. And here's something to consider. And this is not original to me, but it is worth talking about. Everybody's been talking about all the legal troubles that Donald Trump has. Do you realize that for the month of June, we're going to be focusing on Hunter more so than we're going to be focusing on Trump? Or we might be focusing on both of them equally? Just a thought. Over on Rumble, Zippy says, the appearance of impropriety. No, I'm sorry, TBA. The appearance of impropriety. Can you imagine the mainstream media defending Hunter's assertion that his Second Amendment has been violated? Or can you imagine the mainstream media defending the Second Amendment at all? Nope. Nope. Not at all. So, yeah, this is about to get really, really interesting. Okay. Tell you what, it's the top of the hour, and I'm going to do one more story. Another one I'm going to save for tomorrow because I need to think about how I want to talk about this. But Did you guys hear about what's going on with Alex Jones? I know I just said the two words that's liable to, for YouTube to shut down my account. Alex Jones. Okay. Man, I tell you what, I got to give Alex credit. He keeps everything spicy. I take you to an article from Breitbart, and then I'm going to play you a clip from Alex, and I'm going to warn you now, language warning on this clip from Alex, but then again, given what's happening to him, I understand the why. So here's the article from Breitbart. Yeah, AJ was crying. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he was a mess the other day. He's an absolute mess. Article from Breitbart, Alex Jones claims InfoWars could be shut down. Article from Breitbart TV, Saturday, InfoWars host Alex Jones held an emergency broadcast from his studio in Austin, Texas, saying it might be shut down by federal authorities soon. Jones said, "This is going to be InfoWars' last show because I've learned yesterday that they're going to padlock the doors and kick us out last night." He added, "We're going to beat these people. I'm not trying to be dramatic, but it's been a hard fight." Jones concluded, "I've been targeted for abuse. I was duped by someone. Federal files in secret have claimed I'm committing crimes. That was untrue, of course." On Sunday, Jones posted an explanation video that saying he was exhausted because he'd been sleeping on the couch for 2 days. Jones said, quote, "Here's the long and short of it. I learned Friday afternoon that they were calling in more guards. Then I made phone calls and found out that the chief reorganization officer that is appointed by the federal court in bankruptcy, a gentleman named Patrick McGill, was giving orders to send in more guards at night after they think that we're all gone at 9 o'clock at night to change the locks. I then called the different lawyers and people who were learning about it. They were told that it was just until Monday when there's going to be a hearing in court, but the judge never shut the place down. The judge said he's going to continue to leave the bankruptcy open until at least the 14th of June. Now, I'm going to do my best to kind of parse this out for those of you that may not be familiar with what's going on with Alex. Alex has been involved in bankruptcy proceedings for quite some time now, related to all the Sandy Hook trials and everything else. Well, I guess Friday evening, the chief restructuring officer that's appointed by the bankruptcy court started calling in more and more security guards to be on the grounds at the compound where InfoWars is filmed and broadcast from. And they were basically waiting for everybody to leave the building to change the locks and just shut Alex out of the place. Well, Alex, through one means or another, found out what was going on. And he's like, "I'm not leaving. You're not shutting this place down." And he and a handful of other people kept the place going. They did broadcasts all weekend long. And I'm going to play you a clip. And like I say, I say this with love. If certain words offend your ears, you may want to give it one of these jobs. But Alex is pissed off, and I don't blame him, by the way. So, folks, do me a favor and check this out. And as I say, language warning in advance.
I've been under attack. I've been gaslit. I've had secret federal filings filed on me that I'm committing crimes, referred to the Justice Department, which of course wasn't true. We'd already filed it in federal court months before. They didn't even check this shit. If you're going to fucking frame somebody and fucking lie about them to goddamn federal court with the fucking know it's already filed in the goddamn court, you bastard. So fuck you. And fuck anybody else that tries to go on your shit. You want fucking war, you fucking got it. I told you one more fucking lie and I was going to do this, all right? I tried to sustain this place. I didn't believe America was as corrupt as this. I didn't believe we were this fucked, and we are this fucked. This country is administratively got a bunch of scum in charge of it. That's why it's going down the tubes, and America and the whole world sees it. So you misjudged who I am, and in a year of minions misjudged who I am, and you have no idea. No idea. So go ahead, try to jerk off some operation to shut the doors here and do that and prove everything I said. It doesn't matter. And I don't sit there and make threats. I make promises. I haven't had time yet to dig it out of my phone, but I will. And you will, at the end of the day, know that Alex Jones, the American patriot, defeated your evil ass. You guys want to comment?
I understand, dear. I understand. I get it. Yeah, absolutely. They are. And look, I am not trying to be conspiratorial with the next comment that I'm about to make. The Trump trial is going badly for the Democrats. Folks, you are going to see all kinds of folks, all kinds of people, live streamers, people on Twitter, people on YouTube. I'm telling you, the censorship that's going to happen between now and November 5th is going to be nothing like the United States has ever seen before. Look, I'm just one little guy out here on social media, talking about stuff that's going on, giving my opinions, getting your opinions. We get together, we talk, we have fun doing it, okay? But think about folks like Alex Jones or Viva Fry or, Rich Barris or Michael Malice or whomever, there are going to be moves afoot to absolutely keep people who might want to know what's really going on from finding out. That's why I say, as much as we can, wherever we can, let's talk to each other. Let's share information, And as Benjamin Franklin said during the Revolutionary War, we must all hang together, or most assuredly we shall all hang separately. And if ever there was a time to hang together, ladies and gentlemen, it is right now. WWG1 says the game is afoot. Oh, it is way more than that, my friend. Way more than that. Way more than that. It is just, it's a frightening and extraordinary time to be alive. Absolutely. Absolutely. Rush Limbaugh is no longer with us. He passed from this world. Gordon Liddy, guys of that particular era and means of broadcasting are no longer with us. Alex is one of the biggest broadcasters in the world. You can agree with him, disagree with him on his takes, whatever. But the guy is out there trying to bring information to people and let them make their own determination. Same thing with Tucker Carlson. Same thing with so many others right now. And where we are culturally and politically, but more particularly culturally, this election is going to be a reflection of what we are as a people. And there are so many aspects of it to be talked about over the coming days and weeks and months. So get ready. Buckle up, folks. Anyway, it's 9 o'clock. You've got a life and I've got a life too. Thank you so much for stopping by, chatting on the porch. Again, my name is Brian Trippett on the Front Porch Conservative. If you are not a subscriber on my YouTube or Rumble channel, please give me a sub and also give me a thumbs up. I genuinely appreciate it. We're going to be back tomorrow night, and we're going to be talking about some more things in the news. And there's always going to be things going on. We're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff. So I want to thank you guys so much for being here tonight. You guys are, again, I say it all the time, and I genuinely mean it. You are the best audience on the internet. I love you guys. You're absolutely a joy. And thank you so much for everything you're doing to help this little channel grow and exist. And you guys feed me energy and ideas. And I love every last one of you. You guys are fantastic. We'll be back tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern, for some more of this. So have fun in the meanwhile. And remember the words of that great American philosopher, Tom T. Hall, when he said, "It's faster horses, younger lovers, older whiskey, and more money." I love you guys. Thanks for stopping by, and you have a great night.